Let's quickly walk through the process of how to upload a new floor plan for an existing building and get it linked into the database. Now, this is a pretty quick process, but you do have to do this regardless of whether you are just making changes to the layer visibility or if you are actually making structural changes. Now, for this example, I have taken an existing drawing and modified it slightly to ensure that we actually will have a couple of small errors to deal with. So we'll see that as we go. So we're going to start by going to buildings, and what we're going to want to do is find the building that we would like to upload a floor plan for, and so that's going to be the 650 SVA, and we'll go ahead and click on that. And where we should go here, if we're going to be doing this linking, is just directly into floor plans. And of course, you'll see that we've got our existing drawing here, but what we want to do is actually come into link. And this is where we can actually upload a new version of this floor plan. So over here on the right, you'll see that I can click the upload button. I will select a copy of that drawing. Now it's going to go through a little process here of producing all of the various little tiles that contribute to being able to view this in the UI. So this will just take a few seconds. And once that's done, we can actually do the linking process. So you'll see over here on the right in the link box, we've got a couple of different templates we can link. You guys probably are just going to be using floors and spaces. So we can go ahead and leave it on floor. We can say link selected template, and we can check to see whether the details we're seeing down here are correct. So if the exterior or interior polyline that designates the gross area, if that has been adjusted, we should see those numbers showing up down here. So one of the things you should always do whenever you're dealing with a new floor plan is just making sure that these values look like they could be correct. Obviously, if the floor plan was drawn in millimeters or something like that, these numbers would be way off. And so we just want to double check, do a little sanity check, make sure those look correct. They look correct to me, so I'm going to say commit changes. Now, after the floor itself has been linked, we should also continue and do the spaces. So I'll click that and I'll say link selected template. And what you're going to see is that we get a legend here telling us about some details that are happening in the drawing. So a very common thing to see would be that all of the spaces are purple, for example. That would tell us that it's just updating all the calculations. So if something hasn't been linked in a long time, maybe the polylines are slightly different or something like that, that would indicate that the areas are being recalculated. What we're seeing now is that most of them are gray. Again, this is a very common scenario telling us that all of the numbers are the same. We found the polylines, they have the same area as they had last time, etc. But what we're also seeing is that there's a couple of other problems that are happening here. And so this is just sort of a common scenario that we might find. So first and foremost is that we see that something is labeled as duplicate. So in our case, there's a room right next to it, and that's what's actually happening, is that there are two spaces that have the same piece of text inside, the same primary key. It's trying to link to the same record in the database. It won't let us do that. Now another one is telling us unlinked. And so this used to be linked and is for some reason no longer going to be linked. So we are going to have to go back to our drawing and just double check to see what is going on there. Again, I caused this problem on purpose just to show you what this would look like. So what is normally happening with unlinked is that something has gone wrong with that text that's in the boundary there. Another common scenario would be, especially with sort of shafts and things like that that may not be given explicit space codes, is you might get an orange color telling you no text. So there was a polyline there on the right layer, but there was no text within the bounds of that polyline to tell us what it is, and so we weren't able to do anything with it. Let's actually come over to CAD and see what's going on here. So this is going to be really obvious, again, because we explicitly made these changes. But first and foremost is we have two that are labeled the same way, And of course, this previously, when I came across it, this was actually A1042. And if we just change that back, that'll fix that problem when we upload again. The other issue is that, again, manufactured, this is on the wrong layer. And it's pretty clear because it is a different color, but this could happen also in scenarios where, everything looks the same, but for whatever reason, for example, this text was on the same layer as the polyline. So in your case, that would be the RM $ and the RM $ text layer. So that's another common scenario. But so all we need to do here is just come over and let's just make sure that that gets put on the right layer. So it is now on the right layer. So again, those are just two common problems that you might come across. But of course, if you're just adjusting layer visibility and stuff like that, that probably shouldn't happen. But so I saved that, and let's just go ahead and repeat this process where we will upload our drawing again. We're going to give it a few seconds here to do the optimization and double check everything. And once the tile generation is done, we should be able to come back and let's go ahead and link our spaces again. So because we didn't commit that last change, those colors have basically just disappeared. And so everything looks good. But again, sanity check is always important in this kind of scenario. The first step is checking the legend and making sure that, yes, everything is no action required or the calculations were updated. If you're doing, for example, a room that needs to be split, maybe you'll end up with a created new, where it'll actually create a new record for that space in the database. But all of this looks good. And then the secondary sanity check, again, not so important here because we know that everything is in gray, but we should just check again, the area that we're finding here, do these all look sane? And you can actually single click on something if you want to see where that is in the drawing. You can also double click on it and it'll zoom in on it. So does this look like it is 9 feet by 14 feet? Probably. So if we're satisfied with all of those things, we can say commit changes and our work should be done. So this will now be available to the students and everybody else. If they're submitting a service request here, they'll be able to pick those spaces from the floor plan. Also, all of the PDFs that are auto-generated from these will produce with all of the changes you have just saved here. Now, if we want to go and do a different floor, we can just use these controls over here and move to a different floor. Alternatively, of course, we can return back to our main interface here or back to our building list, etc.